So again, we're race 8, 4:44 Eastern time, mile and a 16th on the grass. We drew post 7 in this full field of 12. I think last time I was pretty disappointed with Elounda Queen. I think the first couple of starts this year, she had excuses. The first race, she ran really, really well in a race that was completely dominated on the front end. She was the only horse that made up ground. It was a very competitive field of horses. I thought at Indiana, she just was pretty unlucky. She got completely stopped. I'm not saying she was going to win, but she was going to run much better than she did in the previous start. And then at Saratoga, just completely no luck in the running again. Rosario, I don't know why he never got her to the outside. He had plenty of opportunity to do that, and he just kept her buried down inside. She never really got to run. Last time out, I thought she got a really good trip. She set in behind. She was maybe a little keen on the far turn, but just didn't have much kick down the lane. And I think I was just disappointed by the performance because I felt like, she ran a similar race to what she had run in her previous 2 races from a speed figure perspective without any excuse, whereas the 2 previous starts, she had tons of excuses, really even in the first race with the pace scenario. So, she's a horse that's always going to come from further back in the field. She's going to need racing luck. Luckily, in this spot, I do think there's plenty of pace to set up for her. She's just going to have to navigate a full field, which is never easy. So, with that, we'll get into the field. The first horse has got plenty of speed. She's stretching out in distance. Her last 2 races were in sprints, including at Kentucky Downs, where she was close to the pace. And in her longer races, she's been right there. So I think from the inside, I would expect her to be forward. The one caveat to that is it's Julian Leparoux. Typically, he's not an aggressive early rider, but the horse does have some natural speed. The 2 Heavenly Appointed has run okay at Keeneland, ran back in the spring and ran her career best Beyer. I think she's going to have to take a step forward from there, but I would note Girl Named Charlie won that race and then came straight back to beat Elounda Queen in the stake at Monmouth. She's going to come from far back and similar to Elounda Queen will need a lot of racing luck. Mohawk Trail is next, another horse that's going to come from the back of the field. She's coming off of a lengthy layoff. And to me would be one that while she has run a 90 Beyer, you might be wait and see kind of off of the long layoff. The 4 is Saffron Moon. This is the favorite. This filly has got tactical speed. I think she's going to get a jump on the closers. She's 1 for 1 at Keeneland, so she's kind of an obvious horse. Although the big question mark with her, she's coming off of a lengthy layoff. She hasn't run since last November. I would note Chad Brown wins 25% with horses making this same layoff. So, plenty of talent here, but, the question mark is obviously the big layoff. The 5 is Blissful. This is a filly. Her career best race was at Keeneland, actually the same race that the 2 ran in earlier this year. Has some speed. I'm not sure she's as fast as a couple in here, but could end up getting a really good trip sitting just off the pace and, has some ability. Samay is next. This filly definitely has speed. She 2 starts back. You can see here in this race at Ellis Park, it's a 5.5 furlong race. She actually went to the lead in there in 21 and 44. She got plenty of pace, would expect her to be forward. Not convinced stretching out to a mile and a 16th helps her. But, she could definitely influence the race from a pace perspective. Again, Elounda Queen, her best race, this 89 that she ran first off the bench, we thought she was set up for a big year. It was a really good performance off the layoff. We felt like she needed the start. And again, the race at Indiana, you can see here taken up at the 16th pole, and you had to completely stop riding. She was steadied throughout the length of the straight at Saratoga. Have she gotten any sort of different trip in either one of those races, she might have won. But then in the Noble Damsel, the race was dominated on the front end. Ocean Club, the winner, went gate to wire. 5 Towns basically set second. Breath Away was 1 kind of horse length ahead of us. She ended up running 3rd. We just didn't make up much ground. Breath Away won the allowance we were in, and I thought we were better than her at Saratoga, but she was just much better than us in the Noble Damsel. Beat us by 2 lengths, and again, we really didn't have much excuse. I think the positive here, there does seem to be more speed. Hopefully, getting to Keeneland will be a positive. We just need to see a better performance heading into the sale. The 8 is Watch This Birdie, similar to Elounda Queen. I think she's going to want a very similar type trip. Does have some upper 80 races, but probably going to have to take a step forward. The 9 is Bali Bell. Career best buyer of a 79, going to have to improve to factor here. Towhead is pretty similar. She had some races earlier in her career where she was a stake horse on dirt, but just don't think she's run that impressively on grass against softer company. The 11 is Aussie Girl. Could take a step forward. It was a pretty tough spot last time with Ag Bullet. That horse ended up winning by 5.25. You can see Ocean Club back here, who won the stake next time out. I'm not sure this horse wants a mile and a 16th, but could step forward in the second start. And She's Looking Lucky rounds out the field. It's another horse with plenty of speed. I think they're going to have to be aggressive from the outside post. Now, there's always the shot that, hey, if Seme, the South American horse, or the one on the inside go to the lead, she could just sit second. But I think her best running is done when she's forward, and I would expect her to be forwardly placed early in this race. So again, it's a pretty competitive field. I think on Elounda Queen's best day, if she can get back to that, she should be right there at the finish, given a clean trip. So fingers crossed we get a clean trip on Thursday, and best of luck with Elounda Queen at Keeneland.